Now, one of the problems when you start collecting engines is you can never be quite sure when the next exhibit is going to arrive. And this was the case with this engine. The Dover engine house had been completed by then and the roof was fully installed. So how to get this huge piece of machinery into this tight space at the end of the building? Well, what we had to do was to take a section of the roof off, and then we dangled the various components of the engine down through the hole onto the prepared engine bed below, and then we closed the roof up afterwards. Well, now the next engine I'd like to show you at the collection at Bournemouth St Mary is an Easton and Anderson Woolf Compound beam engine built in 1891, and I can tell you a little bit about the history of the engine whilst you watch it. Here we go, the steam is on now. Now, beam engines are a very significant goal for anybody who's collecting stationary engines. The main problem is of course that many beam engines were scrapped and replaced by more modern steam engines around the 1900s, so they're very few and far between. So we've been very lucky to acquire two for the collection at Bournemouth. This is what you call an A-frame engine, so it's completely self-supporting, unlike the other one that we have here. It's on its bed plate. The beam is supported by two A-frames each side, and that allows you to support safely all the side thrusts you get when a beam engine works. It's called a compound engine because it's got two cylinders. You can see the one on the right hand side is slightly smaller than the one on the left. So the steam gets used in that cylinder first, and then the exhaust steam from that passes into the larger cylinder where the steam is used again. Again, this engine demonstrates James Watt's brilliant invention, the parallel motion, which was a way of connecting something going in a circle to something going in a straight line. This engine pumped water for a little waterworks near Pontefract in Yorkshire, and the well pump was driven by a rod which continued through from the low pressure cylinder right down to the bottom of the well. That's obviously not there anymore, and we've just capped off the end of the cylinder. Again, it was the usual story, a steam installation with several staff to run the boilers and look after the steam engines. Along come the electric pumps, so all the staff are sacked, the steam engines are disposed of, and the 6 electric pumps do the job of the one steam engine. But of course they're easily replaceable, and you don't have to have anybody there all the time to run the waterworks. As you can see, the engine was built in 1891, so she's quite a venerable lady, over 100 years old now, and still working perfectly.